Hey, everybody, welcome. I want to welcome everybody to today's inaugural podcast episode titled CROP Connections. I'm Richard Mireles. I'm the Director of Outreach and Engagement at CROP Organization. I'm here with my co-host, the always effervescent Patrick McNeil. He's an employee at CROP Organization. He's our partnership account executive. So welcome, Patrick.
Thank you, everybody. As Richard said, I'm account executive here. I deal with partnerships and try to get people to come in and hire our CROP graduates.
That's right. Thank you, Patrick. So we're honored to be hosting this conversation that will showcase the incredible journey of a graduate of CROP's reentry and career development program, and talk about how partnerships like the one we have with Exygy create transformative opportunities. We'll hear about that today in Noel Price's story. And we'll also explore how reentry programs can pave the way for meaningful and impactful careers with companies who actually care about fair chance hiring and are willing to give formerly incarcerated people an opportunity. I want to start off with some guest introductions here. I'm delighted to introduce our first guest, Hannah Rachel Smith. And I'm not sure if I should include Rachel every time, but we're just Hannah Smith. It's a pleasure to have you, Hannah. Hannah is a civic tech advocate and the director of strategic accounts at Exygy, with a strong focus on social impact, justice reform, and community empowerment. Drawing on her background in sales and strategic planning, Hannah leverages her expertise to drive initiatives that bridge gaps in access to critical social needs. Deeply invested in community engagement, Hannah works to create pathways for individuals to thrive, fostering environments where people can access opportunities, support, and empowerment. Her work is driven by a vision for social equity and sustainable growth through civic technology. Welcome, Hannah. Our second guest is Noel Price. Some of you may know him. Welcome, Noel. Noel Price is a dedicated sales representative at Exygy. He's focused on building meaningful partnerships with Exygy's impact areas by connecting mission-driven organizations with transformative digital solutions. He's a proud graduate of CROP's Ready for Life program, and his journey through CROP's leadership and digital literacy training sparked his passion for technology as a tool for social change. Noel brings a unique perspective shaped by resilience, lived experience, and a strong commitment to empowering underserved communities. Noel approaches every challenge with positivity and dedication, always striving for the best outcomes. He lives by his own saying, where he says, "Remember who you were, know who you are, and imagine who you can become." I love that. Once a source of challenges for his own self, he is now deeply committed to personal growth and continuous improvement, bringing valuable insights and impactful results to all that he does. As a grandfather, you wouldn't know that by looking at him, but as a grandfather, Noel is committed to breaking down generational strongholds and building a legacy of resilience and positive change. Welcome, Noel.
Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome. So let's start with your story, Noel. Can you share what initially inspired you to join CROP Organization? How did you hear about us? And what was your initial experience like?
Yeah. So just like a very quick backstory, I was incarcerated at the age of 19, went in there for 21 years, 4 months. Initially, I didn't get it right away. It took me about 17 years until I finally hit that roadblock where I just didn't want the results I was getting anymore. While incarcerated, I had a lot of time to reflect, and I just thought about all the opportunities that I had presented to me from a young age, just being in America and being Californian. So many things were right in front of me, but I just never took nothing serious because I really didn't want it. So all these opportunities came and they just slipped between my fingers, and I allowed them to. Once I was released, 6 months out, I was introduced to CROP, and I was introduced to CROP through one of my buddies who met one of the coaches, Ricky, and they had a conversation. He threw my name at Ricky, and we went through the application, the interview process. And what really inspired me about CROP was their commitment to creating opportunity for formerly incarcerated individuals and being formerly incarcerated and always just looking for an opportunity. It was a great fit. So I went after it and I joined a CROP, and it was really a chance for me to focus on my personal and professional development as well. After 21 years and 4 months getting out, there was a lot of upskilling I need, and I know I needed to level up, and I needed some type of some guidance, some support. So CROP really gave that to me. And when I was released, I had this narrative in my head where I put myself in this box, and I only believe that, I'm out, and because of my past mistakes, there are these societal stigmas that are going to prevent me from being whatever I want to be. Just that narrative put myself in the box that I can only do so much, I can only be so much. Once I went through the first pillar at CROP, it really allowed me to expand my career options, and it allowed me to have a dream and chase that dream as well. Going through that first pillar, the leadership, it really showed me that there are no ceilings. And that's one thing that they do teach us, is that we have to get rid of these false beliefs and believe in ourselves and believe that we can chase any dream we want. And that was a huge thing for me because, like I tell you, I was very limited in my beliefs. Being 6 months out as well, when I was first introduced to CROP, it really provided me a really strong community. And what I mean by that is, getting out after 21 years, I was dealing with a lot. So I was supposed to go transitional housing. There was none available for me. So I was just trying to figure things out by myself. So having to figure it out, and life is happening like full motion, just going through the motions and just taking on life and trying to transition, and having so many things that I wasn't aware of, especially technology. Going into the CROP classes every day, Monday through Friday from 4 to 8, it allowed me that community where I didn't feel alone, and I could express myself to my peers. I could hear what they were going through and really relate to them. And we just had like a safe space to have these conversations, and it gave me a sense of ease and support.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear that, Noel. I remember, for those listening that may not know, CROP organization starts off with every new cohort with a 3-day leadership development seminar. These are 3 8-hour days in the room. And I remember meeting you on day one. I was one of the coaches, one of the guys that says, there is no ceiling for who we can be and what we become. In our minds, the ceiling, like, it feels like it's right here. Feels like, I'm only going to be able to be, gardening, landscaping, construction. We operate out of our memory instead of our imagination. And so we think that the ceiling for who we can be and what we can do is like right above our head. We're about to hit it. And what I like to say is, the reality is the ceiling doesn't exist. And I remember you listening to that and then talking to you on the very first break on day one. And you asked me a poignant question that nobody asked before that, nobody's asked me since that. Do you remember what you asked me?
I can't remember off the top of my head. No.
Right. But I remember because no one's asked before, no one asked since. You said to me on day one, besides CROP and going after this SDR, sales development representative position, what else can I be doing? What else can I be learning to help me so that I could actually land that career one day? And I was like, oh my God, this guy gets it. He's going to do great. He's going to thrive, because there's LinkedIn webinars, LinkedIn learning, YouTube, Google, ChatGPT. There's all these other resources out there besides CROP that you could be using and leveraging to your advantage to get you that career you want. But a lot of people, they just don't want to do the bare minimum. And what I heard is, here's a person who wants to give his all. So I'm just excited to have you on this conversation, Noel. And obviously, the rewards of living with that mindset have paid off. Patrick?
Noel, that was an amazing answer, because you not only captured the hard skills and the reason why you went to CROP, but also the emotional and mental hurdles that fellows have to get through and that you went through to adjust to the program, and the support you received from other fellows and from the program itself. It made me think about things that I hadn't thought of before. So that was amazing how you let us know about the different facets, rather than just, I went and I learned how to use a computer, or I learned how to be an SDR.
Yeah.
But I want to transition to your professional life now. And I want to know, what is it actually like working at Exygy? How do you feel your work contributes to Exygy and what you guys do?
So since working at Exygy, it's just been an incredible experience for me. Kind of like to circle back on what we were talking about, like when I got out, I couldn't even send an email, right? So then from not being able to send an email to working for Exygy, where we use technology to create digital services, it's a pretty big deal for me, right? So every day it's been a great experience, and the company's their dedication to social impact, it really resonates with the values I have. Growing up, I was always in trouble, just not helping out my family, not helping out my community, just being a problem child, which led me to incarceration. And then now it feels great to know that, the partnerships that I forged are directly supporting people's lives and strengthening communities. So not only do I have a career that I'm excited for, but it's something that I live by and something that I want to give back to my community. So not only do I have a career, but I'm also giving back and being a pillar to the communities out there and helping out instead of like tearing down. The role that I'm in right now focuses on connecting Exygy with mission-driven organizations, building relationships to amplify the impact of our digital solutions. So it's very exciting every day to be a part of that.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Noel, you said go ahead, Patrick.
no, go ahead.
You shared that you served 21 years and 4 months. For me, I mean, you got me beat. I was 21 years, 2 months, and 21 days. But who's counting? But it's a long time. And then you come out, you're working, and then joining the Zoom with CROP for another 4 hours.
Right.
Not to mention, the things you did before getting up, get ready, going to work, and then after CROP at 8:30, or 8 o'clock, and then whatever's there, and then get up the next day and do it again.
Right.
And you did it for a year. So now, no longer in CROP organization, but full time at Exygy. I imagine that even though what is it, an 8-hour day?
It is.
Okay. So you have you don't have the 12-hour day no more, but it's an 8-hour day. But I'm curious of how you balance your responsibilities at work with your continued personal and professional development and your personal life.
A great question. So yeah, getting out, working and joining CROP. And, I made that commitment from, like you said, from day one when we had the 3-day seminar. We sat there with the rules like we all do, and we make that commitment. And I just had to remind myself that I'm going to learn, like, regardless of the end result, the skills I'm going to take away, I'm going to be able to use this anywhere in my career, just moving forward. When I think about like the responsibilities at work and balancing it with the continuing learning and development, honestly, every day I go to work, I've been there for 6 months with Exygy. Every day I go to work, I'm learning something new. So I feel like my continued learning is constantly happening every day. And also with my personal development, like it hasn't stopped, and I feel like it's gonna continue. So I know just this week I learned the difference between a RFP to a RFI and how they're submitted. So it's just like every day is something new because you're stepping into a company, and it's a new world for me. The lingo, just everything that's going on, it's very new. So I'm constantly learning. And the great thing about Exygy as well is that they offer a learning and development budget. So they really encourage us to learn new things. And 1 hour a week, we put things on pause so you can focus on your learning and development. And also working at Exygy remotely, 4-day work weeks, it offers a lot of extra time. And what I do is, if there's something I don't know, if it's an RFP, like I stepped into Exygy, I didn't know what an RFP was. And what do you have to do? For me, it's YouTube, right? So you go to YouTube and you pull it up and you see what it is, and you Google it and you figure it out. So at Exygy, there's a lot of flexibility, but again, like now it's on you to make those choices. Say, am I going to watch YouTube, or am I going to go out and hang out and go dancing? And don't get me wrong, like that was like one of my struggles as well. Just like balancing my personal life, like wanting to go out there, like being gone for 21 years and say, now I have to sit in my room and just watch YouTube all day, which it's like good for success in the future and it'll be greater later. But there's always like that temptation of like, man, no one's holding me hostage in here. Like I can go out and do that. But you really just have to stay focused and say, what do you want? And if it's just like the quick sensation of having fun and going out there and experiencing things over this, that's a personal choice. My personal choice is my career and, the parties, the whatever, the bars, it's always going to be there. It's not going to go nowhere, but this opportunity is going to go somewhere. So if I let it slip between my fingers, again, just like when I was in prison, regretting the opportunities, I'll relive that all over again. And I don't want to relive that all over again. So I make it a point to just have a healthy balance. And then I have my daughter, my grandson, and those are really just like the people I hang out with. I don't take on too many friends. I kind of stay home and yeah, just balance it out that way.
That's awesome.
All right, Noel. Now, this isn't about me, but I will say it because I didn't say it at the beginning that you and I went through the first cohort together. So we were actually the first cohort in LA. So I remember where you were working during CROP, during training, and before you got your job at Exygy. I remember you were slanging boxes, right? At Target, was it?
Target warehouse.
Yeah. So I know how I reflect on the journey from where I've been to where I've come. But how do you reflect from, your whole journey from, you know, where you were working before, your journey from being a crop fellow to full-time employee in a tech company? I mean, how do you reflect on that journey and what's been the most rewarding? But how has your life changed from working from Target to now being a tech employee? So you could take it piece by piece.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that last part. I definitely gained weight. No, I mean, I was definitely throwing boxes at Target, working 12-hour shifts, in the trailer, unloading, loading, and I was happy getting out of prison. It's like the ABCs: any job to a better job to a career. I was happy to just have a job, period, just to be free and just know I had that freedom and I was making money, and I was stoked with that. But I knew it was temporary because throwing boxes like that, I'm not that young, and that's a young man's game. So I knew I had to like level up and find a career, and not just a job. So when I think about the journey from CROP to Exygy, I think the most rewarding part of it has to be me transitioning into a full-time role at Exygy, because I felt like it validated the hard work I was putting in and the effort, and it made me feel like I was appreciated and that I'm bringing a unique perspective to the team, and I am contributing somehow to the team. So for me was that, and when I stepped in, it was basically like a 6-month paid internship almost, because it was only for a 6-month, the contract was only for 6 months. So when I sat down and I started getting busy, I had told myself like, all right, the objective is to get hired full time, and just putting in the work, and that really like panning out. It just reflects like if you do stay focused and you put in the hard work, you can reach those goals.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you. I want to bring in Hannah here. And Hannah, even though like you're a director of strategic accounts at Exygy, but just hearing Noel share, with your heart for the community engagement work that you do, working with justice impacted people, justice reform. What is it? I see smiling like, what's your experience to hear Noel share some of these things?
I mean, it's amazing. I spend so much time with Noel. We spend a lot of time together and a lot of time working together and talking. And I think I'll have a chance to talk about this a little bit more, but like, it's just incredible seeing the exponential growth that Noel has gone through in the past 6 months. And it's like every single week, it's incredible to just see, like, he just levels up and then levels up and then levels up and then levels up and like keeps going. And it's been like, honestly, more than anything, just like inspiring for me to watch and like motivating for me. Like, yeah, okay, director of strategic accounts is just a fancy way of saying I talk to people all the time, and I talk to a lot of people, and like, Noel has something special, and like his ability to really connect with people in a real way. And then also his ability to just like dig in and work so hard is so impressive. And more than anything, like I said, it's just like inspiring and it's motivating to me. It's really easy to like lose your focus, lose your motivation. But then I like turn around and Noel's like, okay, what about this? And what about that? And I'm like, all right, yep, keep going, keep going.
Absolutely. I love that. I call it everything builds upon everything. And when Noel, like, you bring your mindset, your work ethic, and your talent to the table, and everything builds upon everything. Today I learned that. Tomorrow I learned that. A year from now, you're teaching people things that at one time didn't even make sense. But Hannah, I remember meeting you when we first had meetings with Exygy and building our digital analytics platform in the early days. But I'm just would like you to share, like, what was it like for you? How did you first hear about CROP? What was it like for you to have those early meetings with us? What inspired you to collaborate with us?
Yeah. So when I joined Exygy, we were already working with CROP. And so that's how I heard about CROP in the first place. And I wasn't that involved when I first started, and I would hear things and like hear the projects that we were working on together and hear about some of the meetings. And I was always like really interested and kind of wanted to get more involved. And then I remember a couple months in, I said to my boss, I was like, hey, I want to be on the CROP account. I'm really interested in what they're doing and I'm really interested in their mission. She was like, great, brought me in. And it was just all confirmed, honestly, when I met all of you who work there and saw the work that y'all are doing. Like I said, my title means that I talk to people all the time, and that's what I do. And I talk with different organizations and different people. And everyone at CROP is incredibly motivated and positive. And just like there's everyone who I've met at CROP leads with love. And I think that that is something that can be forgotten, especially in business. Or maybe even not forgotten, but like muted, maybe. And that's not muted at CROP at all. So I think I saw that and I felt that, and I just felt more and more like this is something that I want to get involved with. This is an organization that I want to work with. I think that I have philosophies about work, and one of them is that we spend a lot of our lives working. You may as well be around people who inspire you and make you feel good, and working toward a cause that you care about.
That's awesome. I think Noel mentioned some stigmas about formerly incarcerated people or justice impacted people. There's probably stigmas out there about tech companies and about people that work there like, oh, they don't care about us. And so it's obvious, we love, results are important, but it's also important to be a heart-centered. This organization was started on love. And, it makes me proud that you noticed that. But what about your own mindset and your heart, and why was it meaningful and important for you to work with justice impacted people?
Yeah. It's a great question. Before this, my focus was really in housing and affordable housing, and being someone who grew up in San Francisco and just being directly affected and knowing many people who are directly affected by the housing crisis, that felt like an area that I really cared about. Still is an area that I really care about. I think that as I became more and more exposed to the justice reform world in general, I think that it just hit me so hard that there are so many systems at play that, while I like how you said, like there isn't a ceiling, but like there are barriers. And if I have any sort of influence or power to help remove those barriers, that's something that feels worthy of my time personally. Like I just said, we spend so much of our lives working, and I would much rather spend my time working on a cause that can help uplift other people and help people gain what they want to gain in life and do what they want to do in life, right? It's not about giving anyone anything. It's just about, if there's a barrier I can help remove and, be a conduit for someone stepping into the life they want to step into. That's something I care about. I used to volunteer for an organization called Girls in Tech that I really liked doing it. I really enjoyed helping people develop professionally. And it made me realize like this is work I really care about, and I can have a bigger impact. These are folks who have so many resources already, and that's great. And it's great uplifting each other and helping each other. But, where can I have more of an impact? And I just really saw this space as one where I think with my skill set, the things that I care about, that I could really help make some sort of an impact in. And, was really happy when we were able to open up a role that Noel ended up stepping into on the team.
It's just amazing. I want to bring Patrick in, but I want to share one thing that's super refreshing about what you just shared, Anna. And working in this space, for the last 5.5 years, I always hear the terminology around navigating the barrier, but it's super refreshing to hear you say removing the barrier. I want to do what I can to remove the barriers. That's powerful. Thank you. Patrick.
Well, Hannah, one of the things that you said stuck with me, and I don't know if I'm gonna get it word for word, which said you want to be a conduit for people to step into is that real life or their true life?
I'm not sure what I said, but
yes, something like that, right? So I think that is so amazing on so many levels. And I'm sure we're going to talk about fair chance hiring later, but these are the types of things that we want to emphasize, that both Exygy and CROP emphasize. that we want people to get chances, not charity, correct? We want people to step into a life that they could otherwise have were it not for certain stigmas. And I think what you said about how you conduct your life and how you look at things, that exemplifies that. That being said, what about Noel exemplified those things in the hiring process? I know you talked a little bit about how he's learning so much, and every day, every week, he's surprising you with new skills and his enthusiasm. But during the selection process, what made him stand out as the candidate that you guys wanted at Exygy?
Yeah. This is my favorite thing to do, which is embarrass Noel on camera. Well, I think I first want to say, we interviewed several people from CROP, and it was a hard decision to make. We had, I think, 5 really fantastic candidates, and we were sitting there just like, oh my gosh, I wish we were a bigger company. We could hire everyone. Everyone was amazing. At the end of the day, I think that in sales specifically, you really need a healthy balance between science and art. That's always how I look at it, right? You have to have that kind of scientific mind of being able to track things and track metrics and understand what you're doing, but have the nuance of being able to have conversations and navigate people's emotions and feelings and pick up on vibes and energy from people. And I think immediately Noel showed that he was able to do that. He came into the interview just like, it felt so attuned to the energy that was in the virtual room, which is also a very hard thing to do. And, I think he was just really able to like beautifully show us his confidence, his positivity, and his drive. In sales, you have to be resourceful. You have to be gritty. You have to be able to get back up when you are told no 100 times. And like, it was very clear to me that Noel could do that. I think the other thing, which like, we just heard him talk about this before, but like, he's just got one of the most positive attitudes of anyone I've ever met. And I think that is the kind of energy that I want to be around on a day-to-day basis, and that I want my team to be around on a day-to-day basis. I want to be around people who it's not, I can't do this because of this, or I can't do this because of that. It's, I'm having a hard time doing this. How can we find a way to get it done? And like, that's 100% what Noel brings to the table. So yeah, I'll stop embarrassing you.
Well, maybe not, because I got to follow that up. So I see all these positive things that you had, and this is also a positive. Did you get a chance, or have you had a chance to experience Noel's sense of humor?
Yeah, all the time, every day. I mean, that's the other thing that's great is that, Noel has become a friend, which is so nice too. Like we spend so much time chatting and working together, and we're always joking. We're always going back and forth. He's hilarious, obviously. And I also, I think have a similar sense of humor. So there's a lot of things that we get to kind of like poke on. But yeah, I mean, Noel has like really become a friend, which is like very, very nice. I don't think you have to be friends with everyone you work with, but it's really nice when you can be.
Thank you, Hannah.
I'd like to jump back in here real quick. Hannah, some of the things that you shared about Noel around positivity and, humorous and like those types of character qualities, you may not know this, but like they're like frowned upon in prison. If you're just walking around being a positive person all the time, like it's a bizarro world in there. They'll think you're a weird person to do that. And like people want to do harm to you if you're walking around with that positivity or that great smile. There are people who might not like them just for that beautiful smile. Right. So like at CROP, one of the emphasis that we focus on in the first 3 months is leadership development, personal development around way of being work. Like those are like some things, all those character qualities were for some of us, they were for all of us, I think they were there. And maybe as kids, they hid them somewhere and just saved them for those unique moments. But to hear those things about Noel and so many other of the CROP graduates and other fellows that are still in the program, that we have the power to shift our way of being and to choose, like, I'm going to be the most positive and driven person here. Right. I'm going to wake up every day with a mentality to learn. And to hear you say, like, I picked that up about him. That's really what part of what we're doing here is that live in a way where other people see it so that your character, your attitude, your language is winsome and attractive to help land you the job. And to hear you say that's part of what went into the hiring process, that's powerful to me. Thank you. That was a little segue for me.
Yeah.
But I think Patrick was going to go ahead.
Yeah. Now I'm going to dive into a little bit of collaboration and impact. So I know you already talked, Noel, about a little bit about what you do, But, for everyone watching, we also have fellows watching this tonight. Can you share what Exygy does a little more detailed, and, how like you serve your clients, and, what does Exygy do? How do you help people get access to social services? And maybe you can give us a real live example of, what you might help someone get a hold of and how they use what you do in the end.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So at Exygy, our approach is creating equitable access, and it's rooted in deep collaboration and human-centered design, right? We partner closely with our clients, whether it's government agencies, nonprofits, or mission-driven organizations, to understand the needs and the community that they serve. Our process just starts with a discovery session and user research, where we gather insight directly from end users, especially those from underserved or marginalized communities. This ensures that our digital platforms are tailored to remove barriers and meet the actual needs of the people they are designed to help. So, like, one example would be one of our product lines, Civiform. And Civiform, what that does is it simplifies the process of applying for public benefits by creating a unified platform where residents can access multiple services without re-entering their information, right? So like how I got out of prison, a lot of it, you have to go here for your social security, here for your birth certificate, and here for medical, and here for, and you have to input all this information. So Civiform would be like a one-stop shop HubSpot where you just enter all your information, and then the public benefits that you qualify for are all there in one spot. And that type of solution will lower the burden on users, making critical resources like housing, financial aid, and healthcare easier to access for that individual.
Wow. So Hannah, I'd like to give you a chance to follow up if you would like to say anything about it, because it sounds like Exygy is not just a business concerned about profit, but that there's a social endeavor behind your business. So would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I have no notes. You nailed it. Yeah, I mean, just reemphasizing everything Noel said. We are in the business of creating access, and I think that's a huge piece of what we care about. And we're a B Corp, which means that we get to care about social impact and not just profit. And that's really powerful and really exciting. And I love working for a B Corp.
Absolutely. Rich?
I got one for you, Noel. So if you think back to you're in the hiring process, and then you get the phone call, you're hired, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember you telling the story at the graduation. It was, I mean, I'm an emotional guy now. I was just crying and seeing your family there. But and day one, you show up, right? Is it virtual? What is that like? And like we had a lot of conversations about internal conversations,
Right.
and how they don't go away, but we can shift how we relate to them. So just what was day one there like? If there was any internal conversations that may have been limiting, how did you shift how you related to them and not see them as an obstacle, but as an opportunity?
Yeah. So it was very new working remotely. I'm so used to, being in prison for all those years. You always have someone on your back looking over your shoulder, right? And someone's telling you what to do, and then you do it. So working remotely for me, it's you can say that, and people are like, "Well, you get to work remotely, awesome!" Like that, it is cool, it's super cool, but you got to stay focused. For me, you can't get distracted with social media, with family members coming over. And that part I really had to check myself, because you can get loose because your boss, like Hannah's not here with me all the time. Sometimes she's, working on accounts and she's busy doing her thing. And then I can feel like, I'm kind of here by myself. And I just have to remain focused and keep my face in the computer. And also I noticed too, another challenge was when I had those moments where I was by myself, I didn't feel like I couldn't ask. I wouldn't ask questions because I felt like I was interrupting the day-to-day process. And so there was a couple moments where I got stuck a little bit, where like I'm at a standstill because I didn't want to interrupt the team, right? And those narratives, those false beliefs that are in your head that you're listening to, stepping into a tech company and meeting the designers, the engineers, the product managers, like amazing people, very smart people. And it's intimidating. It was definitely intimidating for me to be around amazing people, but so smart, right? The way they talk, and I would like definitely start to compare myself. And when you compare yourself, it kills contentment. I would definitely compare myself and just hear like, am I supposed to be here? Like, is this a good fit for me? Is this where I'm supposed to be? Or are you supposed to be back in that trailer? So those voices would definitely come. And what I did was just have to remember that I'm not an engineer and I'm not a designer. You know, they're super smart. They do what they do. They've been doing it for years. I'm stepping in as a sales rep, and I have to do what I'm here for and focus on this and understand my job responsibilities and get the clients, do my outreach, get the clients, and move them to the next round down the pipeline. And just understand like why I stood out, why was I hired, and just reinforce these thoughts to give myself, that chance to be successful and say, I am a part of the team and I do bring something new and something different to the team. And it was difficult. I really overcame that by talking with my manager, Hannah, just having those conversations, and her support just throughout these 6 months has been game changing. That's what it really did. Like if I didn't have her on my team and her care and guidance, it would have been easy for me to listen to those thoughts and fall off. But she's super supportive that where anytime like I need her, she'll pop up, we'll have a huddle and we'll get together and we'll figure it out. And knowing that, I know I can depend on her and lean on her. It doesn't mean I want to lean on her for the next year, but just having that support is a huge deal. So being able to ask, and if you are like stuck on something, like don't just sit there, like really like reach out and find out the answer.
That's awesome. Hannah, sometimes we think that our internal conversations are really unique to us or people that have been in prison. But how unique are like some of the internal conversations that Noel is sharing to people that never even been to prison before? The reason why I asked that is it sounds like it's part of the human condition. Everybody probably has those. What are your thoughts on that?
I think so. And I think that by no way do I want to like devalue your history or your experience. Obviously, we all have our backgrounds and what informs our internal conversations, but specifically around and I think this is, Noel and I've talked about this a lot, like talking about all these engineers and these designers, they're so smart and like they know so much. I felt really similarly sometimes where I go into these meetings like, oh God, I have no idea what I'm talking about, and it feels really kind of scary. I think that what it has to do with, which Noel, you've done like a really great job of, is kind of building that internal confidence in yourself and saying, that's okay, that's not my lane. Like I need to like, here's my lane, like here's where I stay. And in the same way that our engineers are so smart at figuring out how to build a platform that meets the needs of our client, they might not be able to have a conversation the same way that you can with a total stranger. And so I think 100% that it's important to remember, not only important to remember, but important to share our feelings of imposter syndrome and our feelings of inadequacy, because more likely than not, someone who's sitting right across from you feels the same thing. And just knowing that someone else feels that same way can be really validating, especially if you're looking at someone being like, you're smarter than me, you're more experienced than me. And then they're like, well, me too. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love the analogy you gave about how, hey, the engineers, they probably can't jump on a call and talk to a prospective client. They might feel lost. They might feel out of place. So I love how everyone here talked about imposter syndrome and staying in your lane, and they're staying in their lane. And you can't compare yourself to an engineer because you're not an engineer, just as they can't compare themselves to someone who's going to be taking care of sales. They can't compare themselves to you because you're going to have much more extensive knowledge in what you do. So that's an amazing point about imposter syndrome. But Hannah, with your experience with Noel now, how do you see the partnership between Exygy and CROP progressing in the future?
Yeah. I mean, I think the relationship between Exygy and CROP it's been going on for a while, and it's been awesome, and I've really enjoyed it. I think that where we're at right now is that we're kind of in a phase of finding symbiosis and balance, right? And I think partnership is the exact right word for what it is, because it's not CROP buying technology from Exygy. It's not Exygy selling technology to CROP. It goes both ways. And I think that it's really exciting to be in a place where we both bring our own skills and our own experience to the table so that we can mutually grow. Right. And so, one thing I see there is that, like, yes, we originally came on as a technology vendor, but now we're in a place where obviously, like, we've hired Noel. I'm hoping that we can hire more CROP graduates. That's what I would really like. We're a small organization, so my headcount doesn't get to be too big, but I want to do that. And, I think that there's a huge benefit to us to hiring CROP graduates, because if we want to continue working in this space, who is better to inform us on what to build and how to build it than people who have gone through this program, right? At the end of the day, what Noel was talking about with human-centered design, it is so important that I have never been through the CROP Ready for Life program. So I can't tell you what is most needed in a platform, right? And that's just one example. Someone who's been in that program is the one who can tell me what's needed the most, right? And that's so incredibly valuable. And that's value that you're not going to get from anywhere else. So I think that's something that I love to continue seeing, is just that partnership. The other thing is talking with Patrick and having conversations with Patrick about how you're speaking with different organizations about hiring more CROP fellows as well. Like, how can we be supportive there, right? How can we sort of be a voice of, like, look at this amazing success story, Again, like, this isn't taking a chance on anyone. This is just opening up an opportunity and letting people step into it. So, that's definitely how I'm hoping that the partnership continues.
Amazing. And of course, on the CROP side, also, we love working with Exygy, and we hope to continue to grow the partnership in whichever way it naturally we find symbiosis and we can work together. So, Rich, do you have something?
Yeah. Let's transition a little bit to fair chance hiring and culture. We worked hard for a long time before even coming out of prison to build a culture. We like to say at CROP that culture eats strategy for breakfast any day of the week. And a minute ago, you were talking about, like, those who had lived experience. That's part of one of our values is proximate leadership. Those who are closest to the pain points or closest to the solution. I remember when we got on a Zoom and we had a fair chance hiring workshop with Exygy, and the way that you treated us all with dignity and humanity. And I love Exygy's approach to fair chance hiring. And I just wanted to, just tee you up to say, like, what is Exygy's current approach and why is it significant and meaningful to your company's culture?
Yeah. So I think one thing is that one of Exygy's core values is embrace the whole person. And this is something that we practice pretty heavily at Exygy. I think, as Noel was talking about earlier with work-life balance, yeah, Noel, you do an amazing job of, like, taking your Fridays to learn. But I'm always saying to him, like, get offline, go do your thing, go be a human, go enjoy your time with your family, with your friends, this kind of thing. And that's really important. I think what this comes down to really, though, is that each employee who joins Exygy is a unique individual with their own unique needs and desires and motivations. And it's really important to treat everyone that way. And I think that this aligns well with fair chance hiring, because I think some people have an idea that, oh, well, it's going to be such a burden and it's going to be so much extra work to take this on. But we're already treating everyone as an individual here, and treating everyone as, there's not a one size fits all or managing someone for onboarding someone, right? It's about meeting people where they're at and giving them the tools that they actually need to be successful, however they want to be successful. And on the flip side, that person taking the opportunity and stepping into it. It's a two-way deal, Noel is taking the initiative to step in and learn all of this stuff, right? It's not just one side.
Right.
So, I think that especially as a company who is so dedicated to building technology with the intention of ensuring that communities are treated fairly and are given equitable access, right? At the end of the day, yes, we practice thoughtful design, which means that we co-design, we co-create with the folks who are closest to the problem, which also means that when we do design with people and we interview people, we pay them for their time. But paying people for their time is great, but giving someone a salary is a game changer. And I believe that fair chance hiring is something that aligns so deeply with what Exygy is trying to do as a movement and is so important. Because if we can help create financial independence, or that's not even the right way to say it, if we can create opportunities for people to step in and create financial independence for themselves, then we really are helping to move the needle, right? And we're really practicing what we preach and walking our walk. And that's so important to me. And so, I think at the end of the day, anybody, no matter what background they come from, who joins Exygy deserves and needs a comfortable and safe space to work and the tools that they need to be successful. And while those tools might look a little bit different from someone who's for someone who is formerly incarcerated, it's a set of tools, just like I would give to anyone else. And it's going to be unique for that individual, just like it would be for anyone else.
That's profound. Thank you so much.
Well, Hannah, that being said, and you've touched on it several times throughout your answers tonight, if you were going to throw your pitch on why another company should hire CROP graduates, what advice would you give them, or what would you tell that potential employer?
Yeah. I'd say have the right mindset, which is that anytime an organization hires someone new, it's a risk. It doesn't matter what their background is. Hiring someone new is a risk. You can only learn so much about someone from their LinkedIn or their resume or even an interview with them, right? So at the end of the day, like I've mentioned before, this is not about taking a chance. This is about opening up opportunities and giving people the chance to step through into those opportunities and to take a hold of those opportunities, right? So I think that that's a huge thing for me that I think about. The other thing I would say to any companies who are interested in fair chance hiring and in hiring folks who are formerly incarcerated is that, just like hiring anyone else, make sure that you have a 30, 60-day, 90-day plan set up, right? Make sure that you have proper onboarding. Make sure that you're setting people up in a way so that when they come in, they have the information they need at hand. One thing that was really helpful is that when Noel came in, there was a lot of stuff that was we probably should have had that for him. That would have been really helpful for Noel to have. Luckily, I was able to meet with him in real time and go over a lot of stuff. But I actually think that, no matter what kind of program you're doing, if you're hiring new folks, this is a great opportunity as an organization to really drill down into simplifying your onboarding documents as well. Getting crystal clear on what you do and how you do it and why you do it. And at the end of the day, no matter who you're hiring, that's a valuable thing to have as an organization. So I would say mindset, and then take it as an opportunity to really dig into your onboarding documents and clarify your mission and your goals.
Yeah. And when you talk about mindset, and I know this maybe, it's on the subject, but what can you tell me about the fear, or do you have any thoughts about the fear some employers might have? Oh, these guys might be this type of employee, or they might, you kind of addressed it. You said there's risk in every employee.
Yeah.
But what about the fear that a lot of them have?
I think like I said, there's risk no matter who you hire. I think at the end of the day, I can't speak for anyone but myself. And I know people have different belief systems and have different, mental models for how they think. But at the end of the day, and from the seat that I sit in, if I am speaking with someone who is talking to me and telling me how they are in the CROP Ready for Life program, all that says to me is you're dedicated to your program. You are dedicated to yourself and you're dedicated to your life. At the end of the day, for me, that's a better indicator than anything that you're going to be a good employee, right? And if you are really involved in whether it's CROP or a different program, right? If you are involved in a way to dedicate to trying to learn, trying to upskill, trying to level up in whatever way that is, no matter what your background is, right? For me as an employer, that's what I want to see. I just want to see that people want to learn and want to become better. So as to other people's fear, I think that could be a much longer conversation and involve a lot more things that we wouldn't put on camera necessarily. But I think that there's people who are going to be scared out there, and okay, let them be. But at the end of the day, if we can kind of, I think, educate other employers and show that, like this is working out so unbelievably well, and like look at all of these qualities that you teach at CROP, like so many of those are aligned with the types of employees that a lot of companies want to hire.
Thank you. I like to say that enrollment, like true enrollment, is when you leave somebody moved, touched, and inspired to take action. And I think in hearing just, from your perspective, from Exygy, from Noel's perspective of coming out of prison, joining CROP, starting at Target, and then really caring and being driven and about his career, a job, better job, and then a career that like you guys put on a clinic about how to move, touch, and inspire people. And at the end of the day, what keeps coming to mind, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but like we're human beings just like anybody else. And people out here made poor decisions. We made poor decisions. We're not different types of human beings or subhuman creatures. We have the same brains. And given the opportunity, somebody who cares, it's so obvious of what can be done, what can be accomplished. Like I said, the ceiling for who we can be and what we can do doesn't exist. So Noel, I'd like to conclude with a question to you. If you were to speak to fellows that are wondering if they can get hired at other tech companies or fulfill their dreams or their vision and getting hired and having that career, what would be your encouragement, your motivation? It sounds like one of the beautiful things I heard in your story was a lot of self-motivation now. In the past, I needed somebody to, motivate me, however that looked like. But today I'm at home on my computer, I'm self-motivated. So what are some of the encouragements that you would speak to fellows still in the program looking towards getting to where you're at today?
That's a really good question. I would say, you got to be your own biggest cheerleader, because if you're depending on others to inspire you and motivate you, you're going to be up and down and all over the place. So you definitely got to wake up with the mindset and have that self-drive to go get after it. You got to wake up and inspire yourself. And if that means believing in a higher power, standing in front of the mirror and telling yourself, whatever you got to do it. And you have to know that anything is possible. But just like with CROP, they're going to bring all the pieces in front of you, but it's on you to put it together. Like you have to put the effort in, and you're going to get out of it what you put in, right? So if you think people are just going to hand you something and just give you something, it's not like the sack lunch at prison anymore, right? This is like real life, and there's so many opportunities, but you gotta get after it and chase them down. And if with hard work and dedication, you can definitely achieve all that and more. And being in a position where, you already have a positive mindset, you want something better for yourself because you're in CROP. I believe everybody that joined CROP is because you want more and you're not satisfied with just the bare minimum. You want to do better. You want more for your family, and and there are great organizations like Exygy out there, companies that will hire you, and that fair chance hiring, it's not only changes that one person who got out of prison, it changes generational strongholds. Like I got my grandson, I got nephews that look up to me. I want to be a role model to them. So not only are you helping change that individual's financial standing, life, those generational strongholds are being broken. And with that, we're building better communities all around. But for the fellows, yeah, definitely just stick with it, stay after it, and go and get it.
Thank you so much. One last thing I heard in that you were able to share some of these things with like fears or limiting beliefs, or I wanted to ask questions, but I didn't. And you were able to share them with your employer. You're able to share them with your manager, Hannah. And some people think like, oh my God, he was able to share that like that. I think it's like almost revolutionary to our past thinking that you couldn't share those things. And I see that as tremendous resource that their Exygy allows you the freedom to ask those things. And if there was one or two final things that you could say about like the support or resources that Exygy has provided you that you appreciate to help you succeed, what would they be?
I believe number one is Exygy providing me with an amazing manager. So Hannah right here, you heard her talk. She's super intelligent and she's caring too. She has a great heart and she shows up like that every day. And I know that I can speak freely. Like the reason I'm able to talk to her like that, because I know it's being received well and there's no judgment there. So having her as my boss, it's just been exciting and amazing to have. Another thing that they provided me with, I would have to say, and again, it was with Hannah, allowing me to sit in on meetings. So there was times where she would just like pull me into meetings, like, come on, let's go sit in this meeting. I think it'll be good for you. And I don't know what's going on, and I don't know the terminology that's being thrown around, but now I do. And it's because you put me in that situation to sit there and take notes and basically shadow the meeting. It gave me just an inside look at what was happening in those calls and, in those discovery calls. So I appreciate all that.
Awesome. Thank you, Noel. Thank you so much, Hannah. Is there any final words that you'd like to share, Hannah, before we conclude our show today?
Just thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I think the thing I just want to say is, like, as the world changes and, as people like myself and Noel are in positions of power, no matter what that might look like, I just think that, like, operating with humanity and, like, really emphasizing that, like, we're just coming from a place of all being human is just so important. And, like, I can't wait to see Noel become a manager and do it even better than me. So I'm just excited.
Thank you so much. Any final words, Noel?
Just a huge thank you to CROP for, coming together like you guys did behind bars and having that dream, putting this organization together, choosing people over punishment. It's huge, bro. And it's because of your guys' dream that you guys had, and you guys came out here and put it together, that allowed all of us to have our own dream. And it's just been an amazing journey. And if it wasn't for CROP, I would not be in Exygy, and my life, I don't know where it would be, but I know it's right here now. And all thanks to CROP, all the guys at CROP, Exygy, Hannah, everybody. And I'm just like so appreciative of everybody's effort.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Noel. That means a lot. Patrick, any concluding words?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try not to run out too long, but first I want to thank Exygy, which is Noel and Hannah, for being there. And I want to say that for Hannah and everyone at Exygy, we appreciate you guys. You're the right company with the right mentality at the right time to open up opportunities for people to step into their true selves. And we at CROP, we truly appreciate that and really appreciate your opinion and your way of being, Hannah, that has helped all of this be possible. Noel, you were, we went through it together, and I got to say, you're doing fantastic. You're a great example of what our fellows can do when given the opportunity. To all of our fellows who are watching and listening, I want to tell them that, what Noel has done is possible for all of you. And, it's about your hard work and your dedication. And we know that this is typical of what our fellows can bring to companies. And to the companies out there who may watch this or see part of this, I want to say that, again, Noel is typical of the caliber of person you can get, and not judging them based on, don't define them by a penal code, a book, a law, an ordinance, to judge them on what they bring and what they can bring to the table. They're a human being, and they are capable, and they are ready to shine for your company just the same way Noel has shined for Exygy. And that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you. That was powerful and beautiful. I'm just moved and humbled to have you both from Exygy here today with us. And I want to tell you that it did start off with a dream, and while we were in incarceration at one time, while we were there, and it started off with believing in people, believing in the fact that anybody can change, anybody can turn it around, anybody can transform and become somebody that we didn't even imagine at one time that we could be. We started living our lives out of our imagination, out of our vision, and making decisions towards that. I was the first employee at CROP after freedom. And today there's over 33 employees here. And there is no CROP without people like Noel. You are the ideal candidate for this program. The person that is heart-centered, the person that cares, the person that wants to succeed. And I love what you shared. It wasn't just about, notice that you didn't say anything about money, but what'd you say? I want to break the generational cycles. My daughter and my granddaughter, they will never know the person that went to prison and lived that lifestyle, but they'll know the person who is successful and caring and makes a livable wage at a career and is impactful and giving back. And people at one time thought that maybe you guys ought to just do a transitional house. Like your vision's too big. Like, stop it. No one's gonna provide that amount of funding for that. And they tempted us to lower our vision. And other people at CROP may be tempted to lower their vision to what their current reality may be. But our message is, do not lower your vision. Keep your vision high. Because as we've seen in Noel and Exygy, there are people that are willing to give an opportunity. If you're committed and willing to do the work and self-motivated, you are the fulfillment of a dream that we once have. And there are others like you. And I'm just humbled by you sharing that. I know that we don't exist without you. And it's so good to hear the fruit of your story today. Thank you so much for both coming on. I'm moved, touched, and inspired for sure. And I look forward to the next conversation that we'll be having. Thank you so much, y'all.